Gaza is on the edge as Israel gears up for a major new offensive in densely populated areas in Gaza. Hamas says it's ready to talk peace, but trust is crumbling. Israeli forces killed dozens of people waiting for aid, sparking outrage. At the same time, military chief Eyal Zamir is clashing with Netanyahu's government over the war plan, raising alarms about a deep rift in islands in Israel's command. Netanyahu pushes voluntary migration of Palestinians, but it should be described as forced displacement. Over 100 aid groups warn they may have to stop working in Gaza due to Israeli restrictions. Hospitals are overwhelmed, hunger is spreading, and journalists are being targeted, like Anas al-Sharif, killed in an airstrike after reporting on starvation. The world watches. Is this a push for peace or a path to more suffering? Welcome to Think Tank.
Our world is becoming unhinged.
The National has reported that Israel's far-right Minister Smotrich just approved new settlements in the E1 area, aiming to cut the West Bank in half and bury any hope for a Palestinian state. This move comes as Gaza faces a deadly humanitarian crisis. Aid groups warn Israel's new rules block food and medicine, pushing people to starvation. While settlements expand and civilians die, the two-state solution slips further away. This is not just conflict, it's a systematic reshaping of land and lives under the world's watchful eye. According to the international organization Caritas, the situation in Gaza has reached a critical stage, revealing a deliberate Israeli policy to obstruct humanitarian aid. Despite claims to the contrary, Israel is systematically denying access to major international NGOs, effectively weaponizing starvation against the Palestinian population. This obstruction is rooted in new politicized registration rules that demand sensitive information from aid organizations, including lists of Palestinian staff, which NGOs rightly refuse to provide due to security and legal concerns. This blockade has stranded millions of dollars in aid, deepening the famine and suffering in the enclave. Ultimately, these measures, along with the Armed Gaza Human Foundation distribution scheme, are not just obstacles but tools of control. They are designed to undermine independent aid efforts, silence advocacy, and consolidate Israel's occupation, making a mockery of international law and humanitarian principles. Gaza titters on the edge. As Israeli bombs rain down in the north, Hamas signals ceasefire readiness. One path leads to war, the other to peace. Which will prevail?
One path leads to war, the other to peace. And Gaza stands at the crossroads. While Hamas voices keenness for a swift return to the ceasefire talks in Cairo, Israel's military has just approved the main framework for a new offensive in Gaza. The contradiction is not accidental, it is strategic. Inside Israel's security apparatus, a rift grows. Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir opposes Netanyahu's plan to seize Gaza City, citing exhausted reserves, hostage risks, and the burden of governing millions. But Defense Minister Israel Katz fires back. The army is under oversight. Hardliner Ben-Gvir warns Zamir must be fired. Netanyahu speaks of voluntary migration, a euphemism critics call ethnic cleansing. The plan? Evacuate 1 million from Gaza City, then crush Hamas strongholds. But is this a war for security or demographic engineering? Even Israeli detainees' families fear the endgame. We're afraid, says one mother. Hamas will kill them when the Israeli army gets close. They plead with the ICRC. Act now. Meanwhile, the world watches. WHO's warehouse destroyed. ICRC denied access. And Erwin Cutler, former Justice Minister, calls it plainly, end the war, end the starvation. Several journalists killed. Global outrage erupts. Is this a pattern or accountability lost? One path leads to war, the other to peace. Netanyahu plays a dangerous game, talking peace while preparing total war. The question is not what happens in Gaza. It's whether the world will finally act, not just speak. Because peace is not an option, it is a right.
Providing more analysis about the most recent updates concerning the severe situation in Gaza and the fate of the Palestinian cause, joining us from Pennsylvania, Mr. Malik Francis, political analyst, and from Ramallah, Mr. Murad Harfouch, political analyst. Welcome to Think Tank, and it's a pleasure. Thank you for being with us and for your time. Mr. Francis, why is Israel launching deadly strikes on aid seekers now? Just as Hamas signals ceasefire readiness, which coincides or a calculated strategy.
Thank you for having me, and my greetings to you, to your guests, and to the viewers. As you know, we all know that we are dealing with an international terrorist group. The government of Israel is a terrorist organization. It's not a government. And unfortunately, because of the support of the Biden administration, the war criminal Netanyahu does whatever he pleases in order to stay in power and to please the radical Israelis, especially the one in his cabinet, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. Here we are dealing with they are not even human. Anyone who starve a child in Gaza is not even a human. And it's very depressing to see Palestinian children are starved to death by the Israeli terrorists, and to see the Arab leaders who have diplomatic relationship with Israel are doing nothing. They're silent. And this is what you call a tragedy that has befallen all of us. And the people, even in the Middle East, are not demonstrating against what's going on in Gaza.
Arab leaders are not silent, sir, but there is no response from Israel or from the United States, which are supposed to be leading the situation, not the Arab countries. The Arab countries are doing their best to intervene and to solve and to reach a ceasefire.
But ma'am, here the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia gave Trump trillions of dollars. And you tell me they cannot even please him, not even ask him to stop the genocide and the bloodshed that is going in Gaza? What did they give him money for? This is unacceptable. And you have diplomatic relations.
Sir, maybe you're discussing an economic side of the of course the problem, but let's get into the political means of what's going on. Hamas now is ready to consolidate and to get into a ceasefire. On the other side, members of Netanyahu's cabinet are deciding, of course, that Gaza is going to be displaced and it's going to be the great place for them. Arab countries have no relation to do with this, but to mediate and to try to solve the problem, which is in the hands of Israel and Hamas. And Hamas is also trying now.
For 2 years, we have been hearing talks, and our Arab leaders have been really criticizing what's going on in Gaza. But we cannot deal with international organization, the Israeli government. The West, especially France, England, Australia, and Canada, are saying they want to recognize a Palestinian state. Why don't they do it now? What do they have to wait until September? Now is the time to recognize the Palestinian state. But let me tell you, there will be no peace in the Middle East without a Palestinian state. Now, many Israelis claim Palestine never existed. Those guys are dreaming. They are living in a different world, not in our world, because Palestine existed and will exist, and there will be a Palestinian state. If not today, in the very near future, we are going to have a Palestinian state, and that's the only solution for the Middle East and for the whole world to have peace.
True, sir. Mr. Harfoush, Hamas offers talks while Israel bombs the north. Is this a genuine peace bid or a survival tactic under total siege, sir?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. The Israeli occupation, the Israeli government wants negotiations. They want to keep on with the war that's happening right now. They want to keep on doing the ethnic cleansing and the starvation policies. This war has been going on for 22 months, and there has been some negotiations, that the mediators have offered. A lot of the Arab mediators, a lot of suggestions to, have a solution between Hamas and the Israeli occupation country, but throughout these negotiations, the mediators have been able to get to, armistices to get a ceasefire. And this, but they would, violate these suggestions. And with the latest agreement in January 2025, and when the first phase of the agreement ended, the next day Israel started to strike Gaza again and keep on killing the people and doing massacres, basically. So all the countries in the world and the international community and all the countries in the world are asking Israel to stop this war and this massacre. But up until now, Netanyahu has been turning his back on the international community and the countries. Even Netanyahu's allies and the European countries are telling Netanyahu to stop this war and that he needs to have a ceasefire and get to an agreement. But Netanyahu is just rejecting this and wants to keep on with this war to keep his place, And so up till now, there is 61,000 martyrs in Palestine because of these Israeli strikes. When 61,000 people have been killed since 7th of October 2022, and with almost 18,000 children, they didn't do anything. They didn't have any hand in this. They are just Palestinians, kids just being in Gaza. And around 13,000 women have been killed also because of the Israeli strikes. And they just keep on going. And the world is telling Netanyahu to stop this war, but he just wants to keep this
Mr.
going.
Harfoush, is the talks that Hamas are offering now, while Israeli bombs the north, is this a genuine peace bid or a survival tactic under total siege, sir? The question I asked you at the beginning, sir, was Hamas offers talks while Israel bombs the north. Is this a genuine peace bid or a survival tactic under total siege? Of course, thank you very much for informing us about the people that died. From over 60,000 people died. We know women, most of them are women and children. But we need to know now the situation when it comes to Hamas offering talks, sir, while Israel is bombing. Is this, sir, a survival tactic or a genuine bid from Hamas?
There is no doubt that Hamas showing, leniency to have negotiations, and they said that they are ready to enter the negotiations. But Netanyahu keeps on, and the Israeli occupation keeps on is still doing the ethnic cleansing, and they are having Netanyahu's plans happen. And Netanyahu talked before that he wants negotiations under fire, actually. So this means that he wants to keep on this war against the Palestinians, even though Hamas said that they are ready to talk and to reach an actual solution, not a partial one. But and so they want an agreement to end the war on the Palestinians, and they want to enter negotiations for once to find a solution for once to stop the fire. But Netanyahu is rejecting. He is, playing them. He is manipulating them, manipulating the negotiations, and through this.
Okay, got your point, sir. Mr. Francis, Netanyahu pushes voluntary migration. Is this a humanitarian offer or a cover for forced displacement and demographic change, sir, at this point?
It's an ethnic cleansing, and it's a deportation of the Palestinian out of Gaza. And we all know his game. And he's trying to implement his friend's Jared Kushner's plan, because Mr. Kushner and his father-in-law and the Trump organization, as you know, want to take over Gaza and make it the Riviera of the Middle East. It's not going to happen. It's a dream, and the dream will never be accomplished. Netanyahu doesn't want to stop the war, because if he does, he will lose the majority in his government, and his government will collapse. Therefore, he wants to continue with killing the Palestinian, starving the Palestinian children, and the whole world is watching. All we hear from them criticism, while the Palestinian people are suffering. But let me tell you one thing: I respect the Palestinians. They have suffered enough, but they will never give up 1 inch of their territory, and Palestine will be Palestine again. As I mentioned before, the Gulf and Saudi Arabia gave Trump trillions. If they give 1 trillion to any Arab state, believe me, Palestine will be liberated. But unfortunately, from 1948 until now, all we hear promises, and the Palestinians are losing about 60,000 of their population. How about the children? How about the women? How about the elderly who are starving now and looking for a piece of bread? When a young lady said in the past they ate grass, there is no more grass. Now they are trying to eat dirt. And this is unacceptable in the 21st century, to see poor children starving to death, and the world community close its eyes and its ears to their cries and to their suffering.
Mr. Harfouch, with aid blocked and hospitals collapsing, can Gaza endure another major offensive, or is this the final assault?
Hospitals and all the hospitals are out of service now. There are 35 hospitals that were targeted by Israel, and now the medical care is now one of the goals of this war. And I don't think that after 22 months of this war, I don't think that the people in Gaza will be able to keep on going with this war and will be able to endure any more minutes of this war. There are martyrs from the medical people, we have like 1,400 doctors and nurses, and so Israel is targeting everything. They're targeting hospitals, doctors, schools, churches, and mosques, even the infrastructure. They have displaced the people in Gaza more than 20 times, and today they are centered in Muwati. More than 1.5 million Palestinians are there, and there is a last threat that the Gaza Strip will be occupied, and the first phase of starting this military operation, they are asking 100,000 Palestinians to be displaced again. And so this will mean that there will be 2 million Palestinians in a very tight area that can't just, won't be enough for this huge number of the Palestinians. And they don't also have aid, and this aid, the aid that enters is just not enough. It is very little for what the people in Gaza need. They are using the starvation policy against them now. There are lots of people have died up till now because around 238 Palestinians have died because of not having food, or they don't have even a piece of bread. They don't have rice. There were also 9 children that died because of not being fed for a few months. And so this famine and the situation that Palestine has been living in for 22 months, the Israeli occupation is still continuing the ethnic cleansing and the bloodshed.
Mr. Francis, with over 108 groups blocked and starvation increasing and rising, is Israel weaponizing hunger to break Gaza's will?
Yes, that's what the Israeli government is doing in order to force the Palestinian out of Gaza. But unfortunately, people are dying. And as your guest speaker said, people are starving. There is no bread, there is no food, there is no water, there is no medicine. Even the hospitals cannot even keep working because they lack medicine and doctors. And unfortunately, Israel, with its terrorist government, have been really and killing the Palestinian, and they don't care about the international laws. The government of the war criminal Netanyahu has no respect for any laws, for any international laws. So how could you work with him? Yes, Hamas is trying to bring a ceasefire, but as I said, Netanyahu doesn't want a ceasefire. If a ceasefire happens, then his government is going to collapse, and Israeli court will send him to prison for corruption and other illegal stuff he did, he and his wife. So he wants the war to keep going on, and as long as no one could stop him, he doesn't care. Golda Meir, the former prime minister of Israel, said once when the Israeli radical burned the Aqsa Mosque, she said she could not sleep all night because she thought the Arabs would be coming from all sides to destroy Israel. The next day, nothing happened. She said, as long as the Arab leaders are sleeping, we could do whatever we want, and that's what Netanyahu is doing now.
Mr. Harfouch, Netanyahu's voluntary migration echoes ethnic cleansing. Do Palestinians see any safe future under such threats? And of course, you heard Mr. Francis when he said that the Palestinians are resilient and that they're not going to give up their land under any situation.
Of course, the Palestinian people are holding on to their land. This is their home, And this is, their present, their future, this land. And so I don't think that there is any Palestinian that wants to give up their land. But the Israel's plan is to displace the people using policies like the ethnic cleansing, or also through what they are doing in the West Bank, through using the policies of the strikes and the war and everything. But all the Palestinians, they agree on not wanting to have the same thing that happened in 67. You know, the Palestinians leaving their land. So the Palestinians will keep on holding to their land, and they will stand their ground, even though with everything that Israel is doing with the ethnic cleansing and everything. And so they are, and with them trying to make this land empty and not have any Palestinians there. But
Mr. Francis, Israel's top general Zamir resists the Gaza City offensive. Does this civil military rift weaken Netanyahu or expose moral fracture, sir?
I don't think it's going to weaken the government if of Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, the general of the army is right about what he's saying, but Netanyahu doesn't listen to anyone. He wants to continue killing, massacring the Palestinians. He wants to take over Gaza. He wants to deport the Palestinians out of Gaza. That's his dream. He said yesterday about the greater Israel. There was no such greater Israel in the history of the world. That's a dream, and let him keep dreaming, because it will never happen. He will never be able to control, occupy Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, and Jordan. Let him keep dreaming, and there will be a Palestinian state, if he likes it or not. At the end, he will be in prison spending his retirement, hopefully, because the Israeli court is waiting for him. He keeps extending the war in order to avoid the Israeli court, but at the end, he's going to pay a heavy price, and hopefully the international community will get him arrested, because he is a war criminal and he should be treated as such.
True, sir, very true. Mr. Harfouch, Israel targets journalists covering starvation. Does the world only see Gaza when cameras roll or when there is silence?
Even the journalists are targets now. They have targeted journalists. We, from the martyrs that were journalists, we have around 238 martyrs that were journalists on different social media platforms. And so this means that the occupation army, they want to suppress the reality, and they don't want people to know what's happening. They have been people, they're telling the world about what's happening. This pained Israel, actually, and this was so harmful to them. And so they don't want them to show what's happening to the elderly, the women and the children. They don't want to see that these people are being starved and are being cleansed. And so the coups that happened in the world it shows how important the videos and the photos are, and shows that these are war crimes, and that this is unacceptable. And today the world is moving towards, to pressure the Western countries to impose sanctions on Israel. And what was the image that was from Gaza showed how much their democratic policy was not true and was just an illusion, and shows that he doesn't comply to the Western standards, and that he has one of the most respectful soldiers. And so these images and videos showed that Israel is committing war crimes and humanitarian crimes, and that what's happening in Gaza is a war. It's a cleansing war, an ethnic cleansing war, and this is happening in front of everyone. And so Israel today is living its worst moment as a rejected country in front of the whole world. And in my opinion, I think that the Israeli occupation if they think that Netanyahu will stay without consequences and will do everything that he wishes and won't be held accountable as a war criminal, but he so he will get punished and there will be consequences and there will be sanctions, and there are already cases against them in lots of courts around the world, having them listed as a war criminal.
Mr. Harfouch, I really appreciate your intake, and hopefully he's going to be an international criminal. Thank you very much, and sorry, of course, to interrupt you, but we have to wrap up now this episode. Thank you very much, Mr. Malik Francis and Mr. Murad Harfouch. Thank you both for your special insights and this valuable discussion. As Gaza bleeds while the world debates, peace fades behind bombs and silence. The question isn't what we see, it's what we'll finally do. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Think Tank, which always reveals the complexities of our changing world. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up here on Qnews International.